Hey everybody, welcome to Home with the Halsteads and welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to be making a carrot cake. Carrot cake is one of the top 3 cakes that's made at Easter time, and it happens to be our daughter Carol's favorite cake. So Carol, I'm making this cake for you today, and I hope that you get to have a piece of it. I'm going to do my best to make sure that happens. So let me start out by telling you what we're going to use in the recipe. And also I'm going to be dividing my video into 2 parts. I'll post the layers today. I'll show you how to do that. And then tomorrow I'll post the frosting and we'll frost the cake together. So you'll want to watch today's video and then tomorrow watch the rest of the video so that you'll know exactly how to make this wonderful carrot cake. I'm starting out with my dry ingredients, and I'm using 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour, 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, 2 teaspoons ground cinnamon, 1.5 teaspoon of baking soda, 1.5 teaspoon baking soda, 1.5 teaspoon salt, 1.5 teaspoon of salt. So that's our dry ingredients. I'm going to sift the flour, measure it, add the other ingredients, sift it again, and I've already done that. So we're ready to go with our dry ingredients. I'm using 1.5 cups of freshly grated carrots. Now I grated these myself. I like to do that. So I just bought the long carrots, I scraped them, and then I used my grater and I grated them. So 1.5 cups of grated carrots. I'm using 4 eggs, and we'll be separating these eggs. I'll put the yolks in the batter, and then I will beat the egg whites to a stiff peak, and I'll fold that into the batter, and I'll show you how to do that. And then I'm using 2 cups of white granulated sugar, 2 cups of white granulated sugar, 1.5 cups of cooking oil, 1.5 cups of cooking oil, and in this particular recipe I'm using Mazola oil. You could use vegetable oil if you wanted to, but you also could use canola or any other type of oil, good cooking oil that you want to. And then it calls for 1 tablespoon of hot water. We'll add 1 tablespoon of hot water. So let's get busy and make this carrot cake together. We're starting out by pouring our oil into the mixer bowl, and that's 1 1/2 cups of oil. To that, we're going to add 2 cups of white granulated sugar. And to that, I'm going to add 4 eggs. And to that, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of hot water. I'm going to pour the water over on this side because I don't want it to get to the eggs until I start mixing the batter and creaming the sugar and the oil together. So we're just going to start our mixer and mix this around. Just mix it for a few seconds, making sure that the oil and the sugar is creamed really well. Okay. Next, we're going to add our flour, and I'm just going to start mixing it in just a little at the time. This is a really fast process. Scraping it down on the sides. And remember, we've sifted all of our dry ingredients together. So we'll just add a little more flour. We'll divide this into about 3 parts, adding the flour. This recipe will make 3 8-inch cake layers, or it will make 2 9 or 10-inch cake layers. And today I'm using 10-inch cake pans. Add a little bit more flour. I can smell the cinnamon. It just smells so wonderful, and it's going to be so delicious. And now we'll add the remainder of the flour. Just mixing it around. Now we're going to add our carrots. 1 1/2 cup of freshly grated carrots. Breaking it down. Mixing it around. And I'm just going to let that continue to beat. And I'm going to beat our egg whites. We've separated the eggs, used the yolks in the batter, and now we're going to beat our egg whites to a stiff peak. Once we get these beaten to a stiff peak, we're going to fold them into our cake batter. I've preheated our oven to 350 degrees. And my eggs were at room temperature. When you're beating egg whites, you always want your egg whites to be at room temperature. And remember my little tip that if you forget to take your eggs out and let them come to room temperature, you can always just put them down in some warm water, and that really helps to speed the process. It doesn't take but just a few minutes to heat up your eggs and to bring them to room temperature if you just need to drop them down in some warm water before you crack them, of course. Okay, we're almost there. It takes just a minute to beat these egg whites. So I'm using 2 mixers today. I'm doing pretty good. Multitasking. These beaten egg whites is what makes this cake so moist and fluffy and airy. We don't want it to be packed. Okay, I think we're almost there, and I'm slinging it everywhere. Okay, here we go. Let's see how we're looking. I'm just going to kind of lift this up, get that off the beaters. I'm going to rake this off the beaters. Remove that. And now I'm going to fold the egg whites. Let me take this off. I can get it off. And hopefully you can still see this. So we're just going to pour our egg whites into the batter. and fold it in. And remember, the folding process is down, under, and over. We're just folding this in. Just like this. Just takes a lot of patience, and even though it's fast, it is a process, and you'll get there. It just takes a little while to do it. And reach down in the bottom, making sure you've got all of that out of the bottom of the pan. I went ahead and prepared 3 pans. I think that I can get it into, but I will be honest with you, I love a 3-layer cake. So as I pour this up, we'll see how it does. So just continue to fold that over, making sure that all the egg white is incorporated. And I think that it is. I'm going to set my mixer aside. Let me straighten up here. And now I'm going to pour it into our cake plate, our cake pan. I have lined it with waxed paper. You could use parchment paper just as easily. And then I took a paper towel and put just a little bit of cooking oil on it and went around the sides so that it won't stick on the sides. So you could use a spray, a good cooking spray to do that as well. But I do like to line the bottom of my pan. So now we're going to transfer the cake batter into the pan. And I think I will just make 2 layers today. I'm going to evenly divide it, and I'll go ahead and do the other one. And I'm going to cook it in the oven, pop it in the oven, and bake it for about 30 minutes, but I'll check it, and when it's done in the center, when I can insert a toothpick or a straw or whatever you use to test your cakes, and it comes out dry, then you'll know that the cake is done. So I'm going to pour the other batter up. I'm going to put it in the oven, and then I'm going to let it cool. I'll take it out. I'll put it on a rack. I'll show it to you when I take it out, and then I'll frost it, and I'll make another video. So I'll see you when the cake gets done. Okay, our carrot cake layers are out of the oven. They turned out beautifully, and I did cook them 40 minutes. So I have turned them out on these little racks. I'm letting them cool, and then I'm going to go ahead and make another video where I'm going to frost the carrot cake with a buttercream frosting, and I'll post that tomorrow night. So be sure and tune in and find out how to finish up this beautiful, delicious carrot cake. And maybe you can make one for Easter for your family and friends.